Okay, homework number 3, question 26-27. They're asking you about parallel and perpendicular lines. And they're giving you equations, and they're asking about if things are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So this is how you tell. And again, this is just an example. Probably won't match your assignment, but parallel lines have the same slope. So parallel lines. This one has a slope of 5/7. So the slope of a parallel line also needs to be 5/7. So if you're going to look at this, it's sort of a multiple choice question. You just need to look at the slopes. If the slopes are the same, then they're parallel. Now, perpendicular lines, that's a different rule. Perpendicular lines have slopes that are negative reciprocals of each other. Okay? And what I mean by that, this one is a nice one to show. The slope would be the reciprocal of our given slope. Remember, our given slope was 5/7. It's the reciprocal of that, and it's the opposite sign. Notice how I put a negative there. And our original one was a positive. So if you've got an assignment problem where it gives you the slope is, let's say y equals negative 2/5, for example, something that's parallel to that would have the same exact slope, negative 2/5. But something that's perpendicular, the slope is going to be 5/2, because the slope of the given one is negative 2/5. And so we take the reciprocal and change the sign. Okay, so that's similar to number 26 on your assignment. And 27, they make it a little bit tougher on you. 27, they give you two equations that are not in y equals form. And again, this is just an example of some numbers. Your equation is probably going to be different. And they ask you, again, it's sort of multiple choice. Are these parallel, perpendicular, or neither? So you have to do the work to get these into y equals form. Okay, that's what you want to do, y equals mx plus b. Then you can answer it very quickly just by looking at the slopes. So we're going to just rearrange this equation. We're going to subtract 3x from both sides. That gives us 5y equals negative 3x plus 3. And then divide by 5. So for our first equation, we get negative 3/5 x plus 3/5. And we just leave that. We'll look at that in a minute. But then for this other equation, we're going to do the other equation as well. I'm going to subtract 5x. That gives me negative 3y equals negative 5x plus 2. Divide by negative 3. That gives us 5/3 x minus 2/3. Now we need to compare those slopes to make a final decision here. Well, the slope of our first one is negative 3/5. And the slope of our second one was positive 5/3. Those are negative reciprocals. You notice how the signs are opposite. One's negative and one's positive. And the fraction is flipped. So they are negative reciprocals. So this is an example of where they're perpendicular. Okay? If they weren't negative reciprocals, for example, if they were both positive, if they weren't negative reciprocals, then it would be neither. The answer would be neither. And in order for them to be parallel, they'd have to be identical. So this is an example where they're perpendicular. But you just have to check that the slopes are negative reciprocals in order to get perpendicular. And if they're identical, then they're parallel. If the slopes are identical, then their lines are parallel. And if it doesn't fit either one of those rules, then the answer is neither.